Okay, we got some headlines from over the weekend, so this will be my anyone else because I'm sure everyone else has seen these. But 5 Canucks go into the All-Star game. Harman, Thatcher Demko, Brock Besser, JT Miller, Elias Pettersson, and of course Quinn Hughes, who was announced last week. Look, I think the NHL got it right. You want your guys who are in the top of the league scoring to be at the All-Star game. And it's going to be very fun because we saw in overtime today when there were 4 guys on the ice, we saw all of their All-Stars except for Demko on the ice at the same time. And I look, they're deserving of it, right? And we've talked about the flawed All-Star process, talked about maybe Jason Dickinson gets into the All-Star game. Yeah, the league got it right, the fans got it right. Not much more commentary, I think, from either of us on that one. A little bit hard to believe that is JT Miller's first All-Star game as a member of the Canucks.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty surprising, but hey, he's earned it with his play this year. And as someone else pointed out here, back in top 3 of league scoring.
Yeah, I just have to say as a side note, by the way, I can't believe Georgiev got nominated as an All-Star. He's got an .898 save percentage.
So I had a few people message me that, like when it was first announced, because it was Georgiev, Bobrovsky, and there was another goalie that got announced. I just can't remember who. And they're like, "Where is Thatcher Demko? Like, how is Thatcher Demko not going to be at the All-Star game?" But of course, that wrong was righted. But yes, Georgiev, I saw him go. Yeah.
Even Joey Decor, like, how is he not in it over Georgiev? Because he's single-handedly dragged Seattle back into the wild card race. He's got like a .923 save percentage this year, playing like 26 or 27 games, taking over a Seattle starter. But no, .898 Georgiev gets in. And you know what? Miller, with this being his first All-Star game appearance, I think that's a perfect way to encapsulate why All-Star game appearances don't carry weight when it comes to, I guess, like in the NBA, you can say, oh, this guy's a 5-time All-Star, and it means something. It just doesn't, because Miller's clearly been that caliber of player year in, year out, yet this is somehow the first time he's made it. That's actually pretty wild.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a little bit of a correction there, I would say. Okay, a few more headlines from over the weekend aside from these games and everything that happened. This was from Elliot Friedman, Cody Hodgson seeking a return to hockey 7 years after his retirement. And we know Cody Hodgson has dealt with so many health issues. I have a quick take on this. Aaron, feel free to clip this because I think this is a great take and I got to talk to some more people about it. But my take is that you got this great situation in Abbotsford, right? Where it's a destination where people want to come, where players want to come. And we've heard this from guys like Phil Giuseppe, Christian Wolanin, especially guys with families that don't want to be traveling very far from the AHL to the NHL club. You got Abbotsford right there. I'm looking at it and saying, well, that's a pretty nice destination for perhaps Cody Hodgson to come back. I think it'd be a great story. I just think it would be an awesome story to tell, awesome story to get to watch unfold. Your veteran presence is Cody Hodgson. Sign him. Go get him. Go get Cody Hodgson. Sign him back with the organization. I would love to see it. I would love to see it.
That'd be pretty cool. Although I'd be a little... I'd want to make sure a guy like Atu Ratu wouldn't all of a sudden have his minutes slashed. Like, I'd want to make sure that the center depth works out in a way where you aren't impeding on your prospects' ice time. But yeah, that would otherwise be a great story.
It does depend what Cody Hodgson's looking to do from this, right? Because like if he's looking to, I want to prove myself and I want to get back to the NHL, which he very well might, then he's obviously going to look for the best situation. And perhaps Abbotsford isn't that. But if he's looking to just get back into pro hockey and he's okay, kind of, he's 34 years old, being a bit more of a veteran presence and being that guy who can kind of mentor the next level, then yeah, maybe Vancouver is a fit. But Ty David in the chat saying he's got to start in the ECHL, and that might happen. Maybe Kalamazoo will take him. But again, that's not quite the place that I'm thinking Cody Hodgson is setting his sights on. But we'll see. It's an interesting story to follow, and of course, we are wishing all the luck in the world to Cody Hodgson as he makes his return to the NHL, or at least tries to make his return to pro hockey. Okay, the final one: the Vancouver Canucks have expressed interest in KHL star Sasha, I should have looked up the pronunciation, Chmelevski. And I'm sure I didn't pronounce that right, but this star KHL star. Sound familiar? Former San Jose Sharks prospect. ESPN's Kevin Weeks first reported it on Saturday morning that the Sharks have begun fielding calls on Sasha C, who has spent the last 2 seasons with a team in the KHL while also being on San Jose's reserve list. Mike Gould, our guy at Nation Network and one of our news writers at Nation Network, wrote about him, and he's watched him a lot. Chmelevski is a 6-foot right-handed forward, and Mike said he was good. Like, he was good when he was in junior with the Ottawa 67s of the OHL. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll see him eventually come over. Hasn't been able to find a home in North America yet. He is represented by Dan Milstein, which I think makes this a little bit more interesting because we've seen what it's looked like for the Canucks with Andrei Kuzmenko. And like, by all accounts, Milstein and Kuzmenko are still happy with Vancouver, and there's no bad blood there. So, hey, maybe it can still work out. It was Rick Dhaliwal that made the Canucks connection. He said the Canucks have reached out to show interest in this player. And in brackets, Dhaliwal tweeted, "That is a tough name to pronounce." It absolutely is. Harmon, anything on Sasha C?
Yeah, I don't know him too much in terms of I haven't seen how much of a step he's taken in the KHL, so I don't have a lot of analysis to share. But yeah, I mean, I do think it's interesting. Anytime you got the Dan Milstein connection, you always see the Canucks sort of sniffing around. We saw, of course, last year, even with Kravtsov, the Canucks wanting to sort of roll the dice. Obviously, in this case, because Sasha has, I think, a much better scoring profile. He's not going to come super cheap like Kravtsov did, so that's going to be an important difference maker. And you also sort of have to weigh when the Canucks are looking to make moves here. They've got, of course, only a certain amount of expendable assets in terms of draft picks and prospects, and how many of those are going to be first allocated as a top priority to bolstering the roster for this season, potentially adding a top 6 forward, maybe even beefing up the back end. So it makes sense for the Canucks to sniff around, do their due diligence. But given the circumstances of where the Canucks priorities are at right now, I'd be a little bit surprised if they end up winning the sweepstakes here.
21 goals and 22 assists for Sasha C through 50 games in the KHL. And Corey Anderson put a pronunciation in. Chmelevski is how it's pronounced. So I think I can handle that. But who knows? Ty David said, "Can he play with structure, though?" That is the big question. Sasha was a 6th-round pick of the San Jose Sharks in the 2017 NHL entry draft, and I just found this out. He was born in Huntington Beach, California. American. That name really threw me off. And he's a right-handed center, so of course, we'll keep our eye on it. We'll keep our eye on that. See what comes out of that. Final headline from me: the NHL All-Star jerseys that look like they are brought to you and designed by Frito-Lay, of course, the company behind Doritos. My goodness, these are something else. These are tough looking. And Aaron, you brought it up. They kind of look like a certain childish joke. Yeah, there you go. Power Rangers, for those of you on podcast. Aaron made that connection, and that's why Aaron is a very special guest producer for us to have today. That is a great pull, Aaron. That is a fantastic pull. And yeah, they look pretty bad, man. They look pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted something like that, I could have just gone to my local elementary school and literally picked out anyone in a kindergarten class and been like, "Hey, kid, here's your college fund from the NHL. Just do whatever you want," and it would probably look something like that.
I thought you were going a different direction. I thought you were going to say they look like the pennies that you would have to wear in school, and they're not that far off from that either.
I mean, that's a pretty good analogy too.
Oh man, it's tough. It's always tough to design an All-Star jersey. Like the MLB All-Star Game jerseys, I think were even worse this past year. And of course, I had to bring baseball into it, but those were even worse, I think, this past year. And that was when the Mariners hosted it too. But anyways, I think those are all the headlines that I wanted to get to. Did you have anything else to close out? Anyone else, Harmon?
Well, yeah, I mean, you just leave it to Austin Matthews' buddy Justin Bieber and his company to design it. Of course, you're going to end up with something like that. But I mean, I'll say, like, when we say we want the NHL to be creative, think outside of the box, I didn't exactly picture it like this, but at least they tried something.
At least they tried. At least you tried is the analysis that we're going to offer up on the NHL's All-Star jerseys.
Canucks Conversation with Harmon and Quads every weekday at 2 p.m. Be sure to check it out on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. And if you missed it, go check it out on your favorite podcast catcher app.